Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, brought to you by The Draft Professor. The Draft Professor is a group of podcasters bringing you daily draft podcasts and is home to the only dynamic mock draft simulator which allows fans to mock draft against other fans. The Draft Professor Simulator features a first-round challenge, 5 unique one-round drafts. The Draft Professor Simulator features a second-round challenge, 10 unique 2-round drafts. All mock drafts are always picking against the fans and draft analysts which use the simulator. Every mock, every pick, every time. The Draft Professor also features ranked players functionality, where you can rank your favorite players at every position. Optionally, you can add tiers to your rankings to show what round you have the players graded in. The Draft Professor also features Draft a Team functionality, which allows users to snake draft a team of 22 players to demonstrate your my guys, compare player strengths, and discuss draft prospects in a way no other mock draft simulator can. Thank you for tuning in to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. This episode will begin shortly. Hey, welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. Got a special 2-round mock coming at you here in a few minutes with EJ, Bill, Jacob. EJ, welcome to the late night. On Wednesday.
I done made it to the late show, huh?
It's good to have you here. It's good to see you.
Good to be here. Good to be here. How you doing, guys?
That's gonna be good.
So, Jacob, how are you doing today?
Oh, rowdy. I don't know. I'm feeling dangerous, I guess. I hope not.
You mean dangerous?
I hope not. Listen, man, you tell me, if you would have looked me square in the face 3 weeks ago and said, hey, Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, I'd have slapped the shit out of him.
Did the Browns get Russell Wilson too? Is that confirmed or is that just a rumor?
He'll be in town tomorrow.
He will be in town tomorrow with a visit scheduled for the Giants on Friday, and
I think I hope it's just leverage for the Giants.
Yes.
To give them more money.
Okay. Well, we have an interesting podcast for you today. So we're going to do a 2-round mock. And then on Sunday, rounds 3 and 4 of the same mock will be done by Randall, Greg, and myself. And we're going to try to spend more time on round 2 than we do on round 1. I don't know how well that's going to work in practice. But we'll each kind of chime in a little bit on who we think is going to go to whichever picks. And obviously, EJ being an Eagles fan and Jacob and Bill being Browns fans, we might pause a little bit more at those picks. But EJ, what's your instinct as to who's going number 1 overall?
I don't think it's going to be a quarterback. My gut tells me it's either going to be Abdul Carter or it's going to be a trade down. It'll be a new team picking at number 1.
So, Jacob, how about you?
The thing that I'm coming back to is the fact that they have, in the last 2 days, invested heavily in the offensive line. Like, especially after adding Kevin Zeitler today. They gave – I don't know what world we're living in that they gave Dan Moore the money they gave Dan Moore because he still hasn't blocked Myles Garrett, which I guess
$4.5 million for every sack he gave up last year, guaranteed. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, they're like we're just gonna give Dan Moore all this money, but either way, they paid Dan Moore, they paid Kevin Zeitler. I don't know, man. I think they're taking the quarterback now, but it could be a damn smokescreen. They could have taken all of that so that they could take a second-tier quarterback and roll with it. But
I think the first pick of the draft, I'm with you, Jacob. I think the first pick of the draft could be a quarterback. And I agree with Ryan Sparks in the chat. I think it's Ward. Bill, what do you think of pick 1?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Ward. The question is gonna be who's making the pick, whether it's the Titans or the Giants. As much as I'd like to sit here and say that Cam Ward doesn't really fit what that head coach in Callahan wants out of his quarterback, because we all saw he was ready to strangle Will Levis, and Cam Ward kind of is in the same structure, off structure sort of play style. I don't think he'll fit there. And there's still a lot of smoke screen about Shedeur Sanders, but I think it's going to be a quarterback, and I think it's going to be Cam Ward at 1, hands down.
So for the Browns at 2, Bill, if Ward's off the board, what do you think? Again, we're sticking and picking. We're not doing any trades. So what do you think the Browns are doing at 2?
Shedeur Sanders, no matter what. Like Jake talked about in the lead up, you cannot under any circumstances walk into Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett as the starting quarterback room for this season without walking away with Shedeur.
So Jacob, how about you?
I'm not taking a guy that's like consistently ranked somewhere in the 20s or 40s at 2. I can't. I just can't do it. Here's my thing with Shedeur. I look at Shedeur Sanders and I say, that dude is the most pro-ready. Maybe Will Howard's up there too. But the most pro-ready. He's the most accurate quarterback in the class. But he has such a limited physical skill set. I don't know if he ever gets higher than a top 16 quarterback in the league. And I'm not taking that at 2. If it's me, it's Abdul Carter or a trade down.
And I'm with you, Ryan Sparks. Sanders is Andy Dalton. I think I said that a long time ago, but it's good to know that great minds think alike. EJ, what do you think is going on at 2 here?
Yeah, I think 2 is rich for Shedeur. I would think it would be Abdul Carter or again trade. They would trade out of that slot, trade down, and get some more picks.
So let's go Abdul Carter, and let's go with the Giants at 3.
They'll definitely take Shedeur.
Yeah, they'll take Shedeur.
Okay, we're good with Shedeur. Okay, and again, we're trying to cruise through some of this.
Mhm.
So did Travis Hunter just fall to New England? Is that what we think New England's going to do?
I would go Membu here. I think they're going to fall in love with Membu and flip him over to left tackle.
Okay.
The thing about it is they could even play him at right tackle. It doesn't matter. They need a tackle. I don't think it's really
offensive lineman. I like Membu.
Yeah, I like Membu a lot.
Okay.
EJ, what do you think? Is this too rich for Membu for you, or
no? That's fine.
Okay, so let's go Membu. Oh, Bill, I didn't ask you. I'm sorry.
No, I was the one who mentioned Membu.
Cool.
He's a little high for me. He's 25th on my big board, but he's going to go higher than what he's ranked on my board.
It's just that ceiling, man. That ceiling's really high.
Is this Travis Hunter to the Jags?
100%. With them needing corner and wide receiver, they could take him and figure the fit out later.
Jacob, how about you?
Yeah, man. Like we've said this about on these pods before about a lot of these offensive linemen. Where like we just draft them and figure out where to play him. Like the only other person I would consider is Mason Graham, because I think if you stuck Mason Graham in there with Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, I think that would be a lot of fun. But like Bill said, they need both of what Travis Hunter is. So either he fills one role or he fills both roles. It doesn't matter. They need it both.
Right. And they could come back in round 2 and get a defensive tackle as well. I think, and we talked about it, Jim and I have, and Jacob and I have, there's a major drop off in this corner class. And I wouldn't trust there be a talented corner in the second round that they would feel comfortable taking.
And EJ, you good with Hunter here?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So EJ, what are you thinking for the Raiders at 6?
For the Raiders, I would say, let's see, looking at the board, either Mason Graham or Shamar Stewart. They should add some, they like athletes over there. They need some help on that defensive line. I'll say one of those two. Jacob, how about you?
I hadn't thought about it, but like Shamar Stewart and Max Crosby is very interesting. Like that's a group where I'm like, The Raiders are so funny to me because it's like, we're all quarterback about him, but this is too early. If it's not like if Shadur falls or they trade up, but like he's not getting past the Giants if Cam Ward's the first pick, I guess is what I'm getting at. So like it's been really interesting. Ryan brings it up too, like, you know, they do love a good running back. Well, Pete loves a good running back over there. Sneaky Pete would think that. But
I think with the state of the roster that the Raiders are in, I think taking a running back this high is a luxury they don't have. Bill, what do you think for the Raiders?
I'm with Ryan. I think it is a pick that they have to make because you look at number one, Pete Carroll. He loves him some running backs, having Marshawn Lynch in Seattle, John Spytek, their GM, instrumental in getting Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, so he knows the importance of a running game. And the one thing, Tom Brady's a minority owner. This is a team, they went out and got Geno. They are not going to settle for letting a guy like Shamar Stewart take a couple years of development. They want an instant impact player, and when you're here at 6, Ashton Genty's about as close to impact as
we'll
you're
go
going to
Genty. There were a few different people that were chiming in Genty. Jets at 7. What do we think they're going to do here?
Is this
Stewart
the
or Graham?
Is this the Mason Graham stops falling spot? Because like him falling to 7 is kind of crazy.
I would say yes, but they also have Quinnen Williams, who does a lot of the same things that he does. They need an offensive tackle, but the next ones on my board are like Josh Simmons and Ariante Ursary, and I just think 7's just a little rich. I mean, I would feel comfortable taking Simmons in the teens because I haven't seen any medical concerns, but this is probably worst case scenario for the Jets. I throw this one out there. Tyler Warren. You want to give Justin Fields a security blank over to the middle? Tyler Warren would do it.
So, EJ, what do you think?
How do we feel about Ted McMillan here? Giving Justin Fields another weapon. That would be something. I'm all for giving Justin Fields a weapon. So Tyler Warren Ted McMillan and Garrett Wilson. That's a nice little duo.
I'm just lower on Ted McMillan because he struggles to separate against press coverage. But I could see the Jets doing it. I just think when you look at this wide receiver class and how deep it is, if they truly want a weapon next to Garrett Wilson, they can come back in round 2 and get one. But there's a drop off after about the first 3 tight ends in this class.
Yeah,
I think we like Tyler Warren here. I mean, we got Tyler Warren in the chat. We've got a couple people on the podcast with Tyler Warren. I think that's the right value for Warren.
Yeah. I do love Ted, though. I have no issues with Ted at that spot. I have Ted 4 on my board. Is what it is.
So we're at the Panthers at 8, and Mason Graham has somehow made it to pick 8. Is this? Are we sprinting the pickup? Greg is thinking Tet.
I would. So here's my thought. I would say either Tet or Shamar Stewart, because again, Carolina has Derek Brown in the middle. They don't really have edge. They don't really have a wide receiver. So Graham's a pick. He's a luxury that they already somewhat have. Even though Graham is probably the safest prospect in this class, he just doesn't fit what they need. I would say Shamar Stewart.
Be anti-Tet because my opinion is you don't go wide receiver in round 1 in back-to-back years. Unless you're Matt Millen with the Lions. And we know how that ended. I mean, granted, he got Calvin Johnson, I think, on the 4th try. But
yeah, he did like 3 in a row, and the last one was Calvin Johnson. That was fantastic.
I like Shamar.
I would say Shamar is where I would go.
Okay.
I'll let you go, Shamar Stewart. I'm like the hey man, 4.5 sacks in 3 years.
Okay. So we are the podcast where Mason Graham has fallen to 9th.
Done.
Yeah, done. The slump. It stops there.
Stops there.
Yeah.
Okay. Chicago at 10. So they've repaired the offensive line a little bit. I think this pick is defense.
Yeah.
Whether that's edge or interior, is this a Walter Nolan spot?
I am significantly lower on the field than Walter Nolan. I don't have him here. If you look defensive tackle, my next one off the board would be Alfred Collins from Texas. I'm going to throw it out there. Offensive tackle at the left tackle spot, because even though they've improved that interior and you have Darnell Wright on the right side, you're trusting Braxton Jones to be Caleb Williams' backup. I would throw out Josh Simmons here.
I like Josh Simmons. EJ, what do you think?
Yeah, they still need work at tackle. So, yeah, I take Josh Simmons.
Okay. Jacob, any objection?
Nah, I mean, I'm not going to object.
Okay. San Francisco. And granted, I was about to say Walter Nolan, but I think I already know what Bill's going to say about Walter Nolan. So, EJ, what do you think here for the 49ers? I mean,
they just lost Travarius Ward. So how we feel about Will Johnson here?
I like Will.
I like Will. I think the concern is his health and what speed he actually runs on that private workout 2 weeks before the draft. But if he's healthy and he runs a sub 4.5, he's probably going to go higher than this. But I think San Francisco takes him here.
Yeah.
Jacob, what do you think?
I have John A. Barron as corner one in this class, but I have no issues with Will Johnson.
Okay. And we are to Dallas. Is it Jihad Campbell, Greg? So Greg's in the chat, and he'll be the one that's picking up this mock on Sunday. But I would say Jihad Campbell to Dallas, but what other positions are you considering?
Can I?
Oh, and he just said Kenneth Grant. So if he's speaking, that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
That's my respect for the other draft professors, right? If somebody says this is what they're going to do. Okay, so what do we think the Dolphins do at 13, considering the two best tackles are off the board, as well as Tyler Warren?
Will
Tyler
Campbell.
Warren,
Yeah, I would say Will Campbell. And the reason I say that is Tua and that Miami offensive line is in the same boat as Chicago. You got to just take the best 5 guys and put them in front of Tua. Otherwise, you're going to end up having a backup problem. I would say Will Campbell as a guard in front of Tua, but what do you guys think?
they need a guard and they need a tackle. So, like, if you take Will Campbell, he's going to play one of them, right?
Yeah.
We got to vote for Will Campbell in the chat as well. EJ, what do you think?
Yeah, he at this point he's kind of the best player on the board. So I mean, just grab him.
Yeah.
Okay. Colts.
Colts are like the ultimate type, like they're the ultimate like Colston Loveland team, aren't they? Like,
I'm gonna go Nick Emanwari here because they've got a need on that back end of that defense. And if there's one thing that Ballard loves, it's big players with high RAS scores, and don't get much higher than Nick Emanwari.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. He is there.
Yeah. Bill Carroll said that the Colts are the easiest team to predict who they draft in round one.
Yeah.
You just go find the Rats King. I forgot about that. That's my bad. I forgot.
So are we going Emanwari? Are we saying that that's the Ras King here?
Yeah, I would say that's the Ras King here.
Okay. Atlanta. Edge and linebacker.
Mike Green.
Jihad. Well, no, Jihad Campbell is still available.
Clint likes Jihad. He definitely like that's something that one of the draft professors that's a Falcons fan definitely likes Jihad Campbell to the Falcons.
And the only reason I say Jihad is because they did just sign Leonard Floyd to a 1-year deal. So you can kind of punt on edge into a later round, but they don't really have much at linebacker.
What do you think, EJ? Is Campbell at this spot of your board, EJ?
Where we at? Yeah, I got him mid to late first round anyway. So yeah, and he fits.
Okay, so we'll go Campbell to the Falcons. Cardinals. I think this pick is defense. The question is who.
And they've been so crazy active. Oh, okay. I'm like, my thing is I'm trying to make sure I've updated what has happened. Guard tackle.
Bill has a sheet that I dropped into the Twitter chat, and whether or not we're filling that out as we go or not, that might help.
We are. I have been filling it out as we go, so we're up to
Thank you, Bill.
I know Cardinals need defense. I do.
They need a guard.
They need a guard, but hear me out and let me cook for a second. What about Ted McMillan here?
Oh,
Opposite Marvin Harrison Jr. You want to give Kyler you want to give Kyler the best chance to succeed next season? I know they don't do it. I know.
Chuck it up. They're down there, guys.
Yeah. And Kyler's got the arm to take advantage of it. I know it's high for a wide receiver. And I know Arizona typically isn't probably going to look this way. They're going to look defense. But at this point in the draft.
Well, and one of the things with a player dropping, you have to ask yourself, where's the fit? Again, this to me, I would be the anti. You don't take two wide receivers back-to-back years in round one, right? So the fact that if Tet doesn't go to Dallas at 12, he's gonna fall until about pick 18.
Yeah,
because I
do like that, though. I do like him and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem fun?
Yeah. And the only reason I mention that is because if you give him Ted McMillan, you have Marvin Harrison and Ted McMillan. If it doesn't work, the Cardinals can get out of Kyler's contract next season and save about $36 million in the cap. So this would be the final bleep or get off the pot year for Kyler Murray.
Okay, so are we saying Tet? Is that what the consensus is?
hey, let's do it.
Okay. And we are to the Bengals, which again would be, to me, this is either Malachi Starks. Well, and I like the top three guys here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Bengals literally need anybody on defense.
I'd say
Anybody on defense? Yeah, anybody on defense or a guard.
For me, it'd be Kenneth Grant. I think
Kenneth Grant's already off, right? He went to Dallas.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant's gone. My next best available defensive tackle for what I have graded is Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Obviously he's a guy very athletic, got a high ceiling. Reminds me a lot of Rashawn Gary and the fact he could play inside and out. Really great pass rusher. He's one of those guys on the defensive line. I take him and I figure out my fit later. But
So there's a Seahawks fan that loves our Tet to Arizona pick.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter. Peter is from across the ocean, but I don't remember what country he's from. But Peter, you pop in once in a while, so it's good to see you here. And then Ryan Starks says no to Booker. So Ryan, who do you like here? He says Nolan, Starks, or Green.
Yeah. What about Mike Green? Because they're losing Trey Hendrickson, man.
yeah,
I like Green.
I do too. I just wonder if with the whole Jermaine Burton situation and his character concerns they got burned on, I wonder if they're going to be gun shy in taking a guy like Mike Green. Not to say they won't, but just throwing that out there. And Ryan's going to argue with me till the death. He's the Bengals guy. So if he says Green, let's just run the card up. But I always have to get the analysis from both sides of the fence.
Okay, Seattle. So interior offensive line is what immediately jumps out to me. But I think they also need a linebacker.
They would also – you could also look –
Peter, you're a Seattle fan. What do you think here for Seattle?
I would also throw out wide receiver here with them getting rid of Metcalf and Lockett. I would throw out Matthew Golden here or Luther Burden, whichever one. Obviously, I have Luther Burden as wide receiver 1, so I'm going to die on that hill. But I would say a pass catcher for Sam Darnold. Otherwise, he's going to be throwing to a bunch of bag boys at a certain point this season.
I like wide receiver. So, EJ, who's your best wide receiver available here?
Right here is Matthew Golden. I like Emeka Egbuka, but he's too much like JSN in that with Seattle. So I say Matthew Golden.
Okay, and what do you think, Jacob, as far as wide receiver? Who's your best wide receiver available?
Yeah, Matthew Golden's wide receiver 3, so he would be number 1 for me.
Okay, so it sounds like we got a couple votes for Golden. And let's go to Tampa Bay now at 19. So we thinking edge or linebacker or safety, but they need a corner too.
Johnny Barron would.
Yeah.
I would throw the
I
argument
would
out
say
his corner.
Jade Barron or Jalen Walker because they play corner / safety or linebacker / edge. They play defensive positions. And that's what Tampa Bay needs.
And I think I heard 3 people say Barron.
Yeah.
Because I think I heard EJ say it, Jacob say it, Bill say it. So we'll make it Jade Barron.
What I love about Johnny Barron is that we've literally seen him be good in the slot and outside full time.
Mm-hmm.
We've watched him do both of those things. Not just like a trial run in the slot. Like we've seen it. We've seen him do both of those things. And
It's
so
a season's worth of tape at each position. So he's
you get to evaluate him twice. Once as a slot corner and once as an outside corner. And I love it.
So Denver, they need
Colston
skilled
Loveland.
positions on offense, and they need a big body in the middle of the defense.
It's Colston Loveland.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Colston pick.
But I'm going to throw it out there because I'm going to be the anti-guy.
Mhm.
They just signed Evan Ingram to a 2-year deal. Are we sure this
true.
isn't an Omarion Hampton pick?
Oh, ooh,
I like that.
I do too. Yeah, let's go Marion Hampton. I like that.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I wanted him to be there at 33, but like I knew it wasn't happening.
So
I did too.
Pittsburgh at 21, they need corner as well as a little bit of defensive or offensive line help. And Will has reminded me Pittsburgh doesn't draft wide receivers in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they would go one with DK. Obviously, the biggest glaring need is a quarterback, but I'm not comfortable taking one here at 21.
I don't know.
As far as corners, the next one on my board is Ben Morrison from Notre Dame. Even with the hip issue, if he's fully healthy, this is a guy that was competing for cornerback 1 at certain parts of the season with Travis Hunter. So if he's healthy, I like him at corner. But obviously, you've got Savone Revel as well as another one. But
Jacob, who's your best corner?
Did we
available
already
right
take Emamori?
Yeah, Emamori went
yeah,
to the Raz to the Colts.
To the Colts.
Yep.
Corner. Where's my corners?
EJ, how about you? While Jacob's looking his board, who's your best corner here, EJ?
So after the top 3 guys, I got Maxwell Harrison, Azari Thomas, Darian Porter, Siobhan Revel. This is it's a little high for all of them. Maybe Harrison or Thomas. But at a certain point, you might have to just take what's best on the board, and that's Jalen Walker or Derek Harmon or Walter Nolan.
What do you think, Bill?
I keep coming back to corner just because they need a corner opposite Joey Porter Jr. because that's been a liability. If you don't go Ben Morrison, then Revel, other guys like Azaria Thomas from Florida State would be another pick. I would say it would be either Morrison, Revel, or Azaria Thomas, the best one of those 3.
They love to play physical, and that's Revel.
Mm-hmm.
Revel and Thomas, yeah.
So we'll go Revel.
Yeah.
Okay. And we are to the Chargers.
Oh, by the way, Chargers are so pissed that Omarion Hampton isn't on the board. I know they got Najee, but they're pissed that he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think they get over it when they find out they get Colston Loveland.
Shit.
Yeah.
A Michigan player going to Harbaugh. I do like Colston Loveland here.
That makes sense.
To a team that has a need for tight end.
So we in agreement on Loveland?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty easy.
Okay. So I spent a lot of time working with Brian to make sure that I didn't disappoint. So according to Brian, if you look at Tyleek, Harmon, Landon Jackson, or Azare Thomas. Those guys all fit what Green Bay typically drafts.
Mhm.
And they need a corner. So do you guys see Azare Thomas at pick 23? Like, where is he on your board, EJ?
Yeah, and actually, when we did the 32 defensive players for 32 teams, I gave the Packers Azare Thomas, so they might as well give him Thomas here too.
Jacob, what do you think? Is this where you have Thomas?
No, I have him as corner 8. He's a little bit further down, but like the fit in the it's one of those things where it's like they're going to prefer him over what else is there.
Right.
So if they ultimately go corner, he is their type of corner.
Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, I like Harmon better than Thomas. Harmon's like 35th on my board. Azariah Thomas is like 68th. But ultimately, we're at the spot in the draft where it's going to be a Baskin Robbins. What's your flavor of the month for these teams? And I think Thomas is that flavor for Green Bay.
Oh, I want
Yeah,
this
and
type of corner. Or
I
this
really like to point out what Bill said, because, Bill, I think that's an excellent point. So we're at the point of the draft board where Bill is somebody graded at player 60, and we just took him at 23. And we're going to see that a lot for the rest of this podcast, where one person may have a player at 60 and we're going to take him in the 20s. It's just the nature of how do you grade players or what the scheme fit is. So, EJ, what are you thinking for Minnesota here?
So, I mean, I would give them Walter Nolan. They need help at defensive tackle. Or
Didn't
they
they just acquire 2 of them?
Yeah, they just signed Jonathan Allen. I would be out on tackle. I would be all in
They got
on
Allen
either
and
Malik and Hargrave.
yeah, they
got
got Allen.
Devon Hargrave. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
so
I would be all in on some form of a defensive back, whether that's a safety or a corner.
Malachi
Either
Starks.
yeah, it's either
I like
Starks or
Starks.
Morrison.
Okay.
Yeah,
EJ,
I'd
any
go
issues with Starks here?
Nah, none.
Okay.
Yeah,
Starks
they were like, we're just going to get Jonathan Allen and Hargrave. And I was like, yeah, share. You need to share.
Learn to share.
Jalen Walker is falling. What are we thinking for Houston here? They need wide
Offensive
receivers.
line.
Emeka Egbuka. Give him back
Offense.
to CJ Stroud.
Houston has no offensive linemen. He's not going to get time to throw.
They traded all of them.
Yeah.
They have nothing.
Ooh, that's
They
a good
traded-
point. I think this has to be offensive line, Jacob. Actually, I think that's a good observation.
I forgot they traded all of them.
Yeah.
They're trying to play 7-on-7 with no offensive linemen at this point.
Yeah.
So, EJ, who's your best offensive lineman on your board right now?
Tyler Booker or Donovan Jackson. One of those. They're the 2 safest picks if you want to go. If you want to look at guard.
Jacob, who's your best offensive lineman on the board?
My best offensive lineman is Kelvin Banks, the left tackle from Texas.
And Bill, who's your best offensive lineman on the board?
The best ones I've got would be Jonas Avenea from Arizona and Ariante Ursary from Minnesota.
Wow. Okay, so clearly we have a smorgasbord.
Rock, paper, scissors?
I just think it has to be tackle at this point in this cycle. I know that guard's probably ranked higher, but when you trade away pretty much every offensive lineman that you've got, including Laramie Tunsil, they don't have a blindside protector, and I just think it has to be one of them here, which is why my vote would be Ursary.
So if we had to go, if we had to weigh in between Ursary, Banks, and Connerly, EJ, which of those 3 guys do you have highest?
Ursary. I got Ursary highest. I like Josh Connerly. I think he's about a year away if they want to let him sit. But if they need immediate help, I would say go get Ursary.
And then Jacob, you said you like Banks,
Yeah, Banks is my tackle too.
and then where do you have Connerly and Ursary relative to Banks?
Connerly's 3. I have
Okay.
Ursary 6.
Okay. And Bill, where are you between Connerly, Banks, and Ursary?
Ursary is number 5. Connerly is number 9. And then Banks is 12. 15th on my offensive line.
Okay. So this is really tough. So I feel like I should just throw a dart
Mm-hmm.
and see what sticks. Let's go Ursary. And I'm going to give a shout out to Will because I know that Will is really high on Ursary. And just want to give a shout out because I think Ursary is going to go round 1 with the lack of tackles in the class. So
He's got
Rams
some,
26.
sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say Ursary's got some rare like traits. Like moving like that at that size is stupid. I don't move like that, and I weigh like 180 pounds less.
Right.
Would the Rams do Luther Burden?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
He's not even the next wide receiver on my board, but yeah. Like,
It works.
actually, he is. He is.
So
actually.
are the I'm still looking at Jalen Walker literally dropping. Is he a Raven?
Yeah, he plays like a Raven.
He does play like Raven.
What do you think, Bill?
He plays like a Raven, but I just don't know if they would put him as an edge. I would vote either Michael Williams or James Pierce Jr. here because I just don't see Walker as an edge. I see him as a linebacker.
I don't see
Yeah.
Michael Williams as a top 40 player.
So what do we think about interior offensive line? Do we have consensus about Booker? I know Josh likes Booker or Donovan Jackson here.
Yeah, Booker is a solid player. He's like more of a plug and play guard. He's a safe pick. He's not a sexy pick, but he's a safe pick.
Yeah, I have Jackson over Booker right now. So if we did do that, I would go Jackson because then also you have his flexibility if Ronnie Stanley in his elder years can't stay healthy.
I do have Booker higher if that's what we're going with, which is
Okay.
fine because
So-
I do feel like he is a safe pick.
So I'm going to go Booker from the standpoint of I believe Josh also has Booker over Jackson, but I've seen Josh pick both players at this spot before. So I think both would be fair.
All right.
Okay, the Lions. Are we thinking edge?
Is Jack Sawyer not a Dan Campbell guy?
Yeah,
He is, but not in round 1.
yeah.
It's just too rich. My vote, and I'm on the island alone on this one, Marcus Bowe from Purdue. Because they need interior offensive line help, and Bowe can play all 3 spots, including the center position with his athletic ability. So that's my vote.
I like it. EJ, what do you think here? I mean, the Lions can go a lot of directions. I think the only positions I wouldn't do are wide receiver, corner, and running back.
Yeah. I was gonna say like Nick Scourton is a Lion.
My number 5 overall player. I
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think, Bill, I've seen you mock Scourton here before.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
Lions.
he's a Lion. You're right.
So let's go Scourton.
Yep.
I like the way we come to decisions, guys. Commanders. Okay. So I spent some time today with some Commanders fans. He likes Sawyer. He likes Nolan. And now the Commanders got Jerzon Newton in round
Last year.
2 last year.
Mhm.
And they just extended, was it Daron Payne? Do I have that name right?
Yeah, but they did lose Jonathan Allen, so you have to take that for what it's worth.
Okay. And then they also could use a wide receiver.
I don't know. With the Debo acquisition, I don't know if it's as big a need in rounds 1 and 2. Day 3, absolutely. But I don't know if you go because you'll have Terry McLaurin, you'll have Debo Samuel, you'll have a couple of depth pieces, especially if you can get a guy on day 3. This is the fun one because I could also see them going offensive line going tackle, although there's not one here.
I've got a different idea. Jalen Walker. They have some aging linebackers, right? Because isn't this where Bobby Wagner is?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they do
Doing-
need heads.
Yeah, I would say because yes, they did also just acquire Laramie Tunsil as well, so that probably rules out tackle in round 1. But then again, it probably also doesn't because he's up there.
Mm.
Jalen Walker does probably make sense.
Yeah, I would say Jalen Walker, but you're probably running him as a full-time edge his first year, especially if Dante Fowler walks.
Mm-hmm.
EJ, where's Walker on your board?
Higher, a lot higher than where we at now.
Yeah,
So
and Jacob, how about you? Where's Walker on your board?
I don't remember where I had him, but I list him as a linebacker, and I list him as the number 1 linebacker. That's how I have him listed.
Yeah,
And then-
I'm with Jacob. I have him as the number 1 linebacker, 20th overall. So
Okay, so Jalen Walker, you are a Washington Commander.
Marcus Williams got released.
So, this is an interesting board for Buffalo because I don't know that I've ever seen it fall this way before. So, but Derek Harmon's there, and
Mhm.
I like getting pass rush upside on the interior. So I can see that, and then I could see Trey Amos. Buffalo needs a starting corner, so
I could see the pass rush on the interior with Harmon because he's my 3rd defensive tackle behind Alfred Collins, who I think Alfred Collins is a better floor, but Harmon has the higher ceiling right now. I'd also throw out, if you're looking at corner, again, Ben Morrison. If he's healthy, this is a top 3 corner in this class. But there's questions about his health, which I haven't seen any medical rechecks from him. So I would assume that all is well in South Bend. But
I feel like they go D tackle.
I'm going to go Harmon. That's a huge gamble, the corner for Buffalo. This is a huge gamble. So, Kansas City.
Ooh, that offensive line's
What tight ends off the board?
Yeah,
so
whatever,
top 2 tight ends are off.
Whatever offensive lineman is on the board, or they need corner too. Oh, it's Connor Lee. Kelvin Banks is still on the board.
Oh yeah, Kelvin. If Kelvin Banks was there, that would be my pick.
Yeah.
I like Kelvin Banks. Bill, any objection?
I would object to Kelvin Banks overall as a prospect, but that's just me. I've never been high on Kelvin Banks. I think he's a guard at the next level. But if Kelvin Banks is Jacob and EJ's pick, we'll run with it.
But one of the other things that Price pointed out in the Draft Professor group chat is that the Chiefs have drafted offensive linemen, and they have 4 offensive linemen on their rookie deals. Bill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They just need them to perform up to the level that they're drafted at, but it's not as much of a need, he says, as the outside world thinks.
Well, but then they traded an all-pro left guard.
But they did draft Kingsley Suamatia last year, who is, by all accounts, moving inside to guard to replace that.
But they never replaced L'Jarius Sneed.
So should we go Hairston?
Do you guys like Hairston at the back of round 1?
I have Trey Amos just above Maxwell Hairston, but I do have Hairston at 5.
And Amos plays press man, which is what Kansas City
That's
runs.
what they
a lot,
do.
right?
Yeah, that's what Spags does. So yeah, go Amos. Yeah.
Yeah. I have Amos above Hairston if we're going to talk between those two.
Okay, and then the Eagles. I think this is either Michael Williams or Walter Nolan.
Yeah.
Michael Williams, it's Georgia.
Yeah, I was going to say you let another Georgia boy fall to the Eagles. Yeah, I think it's.
And EJ's an Eagles fan. We got to let him make the pick. I completely forgot. Go for it, EJ.
Yeah, I say it's Michael Williams. They got they got needs on the interior and on the edge. Michael Williams could possibly do both. If he fails at one, he can do the other. So I would say Michael Williams
Okay.
to the Philadelphia Bulldogs.
I like that Philadelphia Bulldog. So we just did round one. I like how this is going. We've got Cleveland up. Bill and Jacob, what are you guys thinking for Cleveland here?
You know, Bill, we've had this conversation many a times. The offensive tackle conversation at the top, it kind of fell in their favor, didn't it?
But it did, because you know who's sitting right there, ranked 13 on the board.
I see him.
Mm-hmm.
And
'Cause
he
he
is
fits-
the number one player. Yeah, he's the number one player available according to the fans that use the
And-
simulator.
He fits the athletic and age guardrails that Barry drafts with, Jake.
He's like 21, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still 21. Yeah, no, it's been a dream that Josh Connerly would be there at 33. I'm still uncertain if that dream will ever come true. I'm willing to trade up for Josh Connerly, so that tells you what I think about him.
So the Giants took Shedeur Sanders in round one. What are we thinking they're going to do in round two? I'm thinking this has to be offensive line. But you guys tell me, would they? I mean, they need offensive skill positions, and they could use a boundary corner. But like when you take Tyler Nubin at the top of round two last year, it's really painful when you skipped on a really good offensive tackle class.
What is the tackle situation?
So I would think like Savanea, Bo, or Banks here.
I think someone that you're looking to potentially put on the right side because Andrew Thomas is still there.
Yeah.
And when
What
he
does
was
her offensive line board look like right now?
Yeah, that would be, I guess, Savanea probably would be the best scheme fit because he plays on the right side at guard or tackle. Do they want to roll the dice with Cam Williams? I don't know.
Yeah. And you won't have to convince Bill twice on Savanea.
He's my offensive line number 2 and my 13th overall player. So the fact that he's here is just a bang for your buck value.
Yeah, might as well take him.
Yeah, I think
Jacob, any objection?
no, because the other guys are for the other tackles I have higher than him are left tackles, and I would just soon go that direction.
Titans took Cam Ward, and they have made some free agent signings on the offensive line. I think this is edge.
They did just sign Draymond Jones like 20 minutes ago.
I would throw out wide receiver because they let Nick Westbrook Akine walk, which means their top wide receiver option is Traylon Burks.
Oh, Lord. Get
Do
him.
we think this is Gray
He
Harris,
said, "Oh,
Lyle
Lord."
Manor, Egbuka, Higgins?
Yeah, can they draft all three of them?
Yeah, can they just take them all?
Yeah.
How high do you guys have Harris?
I'm not crazy about Trey Harris. I got Trey Harris 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's in my top 10. I think Egbuka, I mean, I could see Egbuka going in the first round, and I like Jaden Higgins a lot too.
And then
I
Bill,
think
know
Egbuka's
Manor's your
good.
guy, and he's here.
Io Manor's my guy, and he's here, and he reminds me a lot of what Nick Westbrook Akine does. Very violent run blocker, great hands, decent speed, not going to blow the doors off the place. That would be my vote. I would go Io Manor, and then probably Egbuka or even Jack Besh from TCU here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Io Manor's fine. I love Io Manor.
Yeah, I'm
I
fine
just
with
think-
that.
yeah.
Okay, Jaguars. I believe the Jaguars. Did we do Shamar Stewart? No, we did Travis Hunter.
Tyleek Williams.
So, who did you say? I'm sorry.
Tyleek Williams.
Any objections to Tyleek Williams?
No.
Everybody wants to talk about, adding to that defensive interior, and they didn't do it with Mason Graham. So Tyleek Williams, I think is I think Tyreek Williams' pass rush upside is a lot better than people are giving him credit for. Go watch that dude run the drills at the combine. Like, he's a very good athlete. Like, he's a smooth mover. He just needs to work on his pad level at times can be, which is crazy because he's an elite run defender. It's crazy that sometimes he goes straight up, and I'm like, how are you doing that? But like, I don't know. I think Tyreek Williams is being slept on a little bit.
Okay. The Raiders went Ashton Genty in round 1. And my opinion is they need everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think line on either side of the ball.
So I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Will Howard from Ohio State.
Ding.
And the reason I say that is Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator. Will trust Will Howard, Geno Smith on a 3-year deal. That gives you enough time to get Will Howard up to speed in that offense. And if Geno comes out and struggles, you can turn the keys right over to the rookie.
What do you think, EJ?
That's bold, and I like it. And that's the Chip Kelly thing.
He won a national champion with, he won a national championship.
Yeah, that's somebody he trusts.
Yeah,
So the Patriots went Membu in round 1. They could go offensive line again here, or they could go wide receiver.
Mecca Ibuka.
Mm-hmm.
We like Ibuka here?
Yep.
Okay.
Give a super reliable, just he does everything right about the position.
Yeah, he's gonna catch 100. He's gonna catch 100 balls, but Drake may throw it to him.
Okay.
Yep.
I will also mention this, guys. We've got to stop drafting Buckeyes because we're back to back to back Buckeyes at this point.
I didn't even realize that.
That's a good catch.
Best team in college.
And
So Donovan Jackson.
Ryan Sparks caught that too. Okay, so the Bears, is this they did Josh Simmons in round 1. Is this a Walter Nolan landing spot? Because they need interior.
Yeah, and he can only fall so far. Or who else is on the interior defensive line? Who else is there?
I'm gonna be devil's advocate again because you guys know I love to do that. I love to come in with these spicy picks. Are we sure this isn't Caleb Johnson or Travion Henderson here?
I can see Henderson and Bears have another pick coming right up.
Oh,
So
yeah, they do.
So who do they think the Saints will pick? And then the Bears are going to be on the clock again.
Yep.
So to me, the Saints are less likely to pick a running back, but they would be more likely to pick Walter Nolan.
No, but the Saints took Mason Graham.
Yeah, Saints took Mason Graham, so they're not going to go back-to-back D-line. I think they would go if they do look at running back because Alvin Kamara is getting older.
Okay, so do we like Henderson or do we like Johnson?
I like
I
Henderson.
got a guy higher than both of them.
Who do you have higher than both?
Running back 3 is Quinshon Judkins.
Okay.
He fits too. I mean, we continue with the Ohio State theme. So,
oh shit, we cannot do that.
Let's do it. It's got to be an Ohio State running back.
I would go if I ranked them. I would go Caleb Johnson, Henderson, and Judkins.
I can't. We can't do it.
Sam is suggesting Donovan Jackson.
Wait. What about Marcus Bowe?
He's still there.
He's still there.
Yeah, Jacob's right. What about Marcus Bowe? I called for him to Detroit for that same reason.
Yeah.
I would draft Marcus Bowe if I'm Chicago and make him my center.
Well, they have Drew Dahlman, so the center's covered.
Oh,
but
tackle.
He could play guard. He could play tackle. You could move Darnell Wright to the left side, have him play right tackle. You could put Bowe at left tackle. Take your pick.
That works for me. And then they could double back with a running back. And
Yep. You guys like Bowe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all for Bowe.
Okay. Saints in round 1, they took Graham. So are we thinking corner or are we thinking wide receiver? What's the corner board look like? Hairston's here, Porter's here, Morrison's here.
Yeah, I'm good with either of those three. Or it might be Who's on the wide
Can we
receiver?
also, well, I was going to say wide receiver, but we also have to have the edge conversation because who's going to be the pass rusher in New Orleans?
Has anybody drafted James Pierce?
Cam
yet?
Jordan's
Pierce is sitting at the top of the board.
Wow.
Cam
That's the
Jordan
pick.
did just resign though.
Yeah, but he's up there. He's got 1 or 2 more years.
Yeah.
My vote would be.
Is Pierce a scheme fit? Because they like bigger defensive ends and they play 4-down linemen with their hand in the dirt. I don't know, but and he's the best player on the board though.
So Sam is suggesting offensive tackle, and Kelvin Banks is still here.
Give him Kelvin Banks.
They do have to
Yeah,
kick
because
Penning.
Any objection to Banks?
Yeah.
you have Fuaga on the left side and then you put Banks on the right side.
Mhm.
So the Bears are back up, and is this one of the running backs?
Yeah, I'd say one of the Ohio State guys.
Judkins or Henderson? Bill.
I'd say Henderson. I think he's just slightly more explosive. Plus, if you don't ask him to be a full-time all-in running back and have him as a running back by committee, which you can in Chicago, I think Henderson would be between Henderson and Judkins is where I go.
And then Jacob, Henderson or Judkins?
I prefer Judkins, but I could see Henderson being a better scheme fit.
And then EJ, Henderson or Judkins?
I think Henderson fits better for what they do in Chicago. They're going to throw the ball to him and they're going to hand the ball off to him. So I think Henderson is a better fit.
Okay. Jets are up. They took Tyler Warren in round 1. Jackson Dart is sitting at the top of the Jets board. So somebody from the Jets has drafted Jackson Dart in this simulator a few times before.
I like quarterback, but I don't like Jackson Dart. I like Tyler Shuck from Louisville. Yes, he's
Xavier
older,
Watts
yes.
is also here. And I know that the Jets need a safety.
Xavier Watts is my safety one. You'll get no argument from me if you go Xavier Watts.
Yeah,
Anybody
Xavier,
upset with Watts?
Xavier Watts is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I got no problem with that.
Okay, 49ers are on the clock. 49ers in round 1. Will Johnson at corner. So do we like wide receiver for San Francisco here? Or are we thinking corner and Benjamin Morrison is right there?
Do they
But-
double up on corner? I know they just drafted Ricky Pearsall last year, and they still got IU. Do they double up?
They went Will Johnson.
Walter Nolan is also here in round 2, and they need
Yeah.
him here.
Yeah, I would go Walter Nolan.
Yeah, I'm fine with Walter Nolan. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dallas. Greg said give him the best running back.
It's Caleb
Is it
Johnson for me.
Hmm?
For
I
me,
didn't
it's
hear-
Caleb Johnson.
Caleb Johnson. What do you think, EJ? Who's your best running back available?
Well, I'm an Eagles fan, so I hate the Cowboys. So give them the worst player available. So, yeah.
So Bashal Tootin here then is what I'm hearing.
yeah. Or you know what? Give him Joe Quavius Marks. He'll fit right in. No, I'm joking, but give him Caleb Johnson works in there and what they want to do.
Okay. So we'll do Caleb Johnson. Colts. We did Nick Emmanwori in round 1. They need a corner.
Mhm.
And Hairston is sitting right there at the top of their board.
Yeah.
Kirsten is like exploding up boards. Like he's very intriguing. He's very
Yeah.
intriguing.
My only issue with Hairston is his playing weight is going to be somewhere between 170 and 180. That's the only thing. I mean, he's got ball skills, he's got speed, he can cover deep speed. He's best playing off man. He can play some zone, but he's very twitchy in his movements. I like him as a player, but it's just the playing weight. That's the only thing that scares me. But he's a very good player, and I think he would fit here.
Mm. So Sam is saying the Colts also need a guard. Could that be Donovan Jackson?
That could be Donovan
That'd be
Jackson.
a good spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
That, or correct me if I'm wrong. Let me double check something here because I think we may be looking at. No, yeah. I was going to say Gray Zabel just from an athletic standpoint, trying to look up his RAS, but it's not available right now. So I would say if you're going to go guard, I would go Gray Zabel. Just because, but at the same time, they also have Matt Goncalves, who plays right tackle backup, but can slide inside to right guard. Maxwell Hairston's RAS is 9.68. So if you're going to go corner and you're going to go a high RAS guy, it's going to be Hairston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot again. I forgot about the RAS again.
I like trying to stick with who we think the Colts would take. And if we think that they're going to go after RAS and that's Hairston, that's what I like. Here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I forgot.
Okay. Atlanta in round 1.
James Pierce Jr.
This Jihad Campbell. Yes.
Yeah.
So round 1, Jihad Campbell. I think
James Pierce Jr.
James Pierce Jr.
Yeah, James Pierce Jr.
Okay. Yeah, I like it when you make it easy. Okay, the Cardinals. This was
Did we do
Ted
10?
McMillan in round 1.
Let me.
They still need defense, don't they?
Yeah, and so Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders, Darius Alexander, Shamar Turner are all here.
Mm-hmm.
Ed, Izaraku, Landon Jackson, Princely.
Uman Mielen. But yeah, I've mocked Alfred Collins to the Cardinals in round 1 before on this pod.
Yep.
I think if he's there, I think it's Alfred Collins.
Yeah. Thing about Jonathan Gannon's defense, he needs a strong nose tackle or else his defense doesn't work. So yeah, I would say Alfred Collins.
Okay. The Dolphins at 48. They took Will Campbell in round 1. I'm thinking either guard Donovan Jackson or Gray Zabel. Tight end Taylor's here.
I'm going to have a little fun with this one. I would say tight end, and I would say Mason Taylor just because they have a very close connection with Mason Taylor.
Yeah, it's got to be the legacy pick.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a legacy pick. Yeah, you're right.
Bengals. Did we do Mike Green here? Yeah, we did Mike Green in round 1. Gray Zabel and Donovan Jackson are right there for the Bengals. Look, sitting right at the top of their board right now.
Yeah.
I know if Ryan's out there still, he would probably kick me for saying this pick.
He said Donovan Jackson. We're good. Thanks, Ryan.
I was going to say it's Donovan or Fannin.
Seattle in round 1 went Matthew Golden, and they need interior offensive line like it's going out of style.
Gray Zabel.
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 It is interesting how the number 1 player on the simulator is where a lot of our eyes are going right now. It's almost like the fans know something. Denver, we did Colston Loveland, right?
Yeah, so it's got to be a running back.
So this is either a wide receiver or a running back.
What's our running backs board look like?
If Quinshawn
Judkins, Neal, Scatabo.
Give him Quinshawn.
Yeah, give him Quinshawn.
Yeah, I'd go that.
Okay, Seattle is on the clock again. So they've done Golden and they've done Zabel.
I'm going to go outside the box. I'm going to say that Seattle elects to hedge their bets with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, I would say Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I was going to go quarterback too. I thought they would get weird and take Jalen Milroe, but Jackson Dart works too. I think they would like to double down. I don't think their future is with Sam Darnold, so I think they want to draft another quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm fine with Milrow as well. I just think I think they double down at quarterback. I like Tyler Shuck. If I ranked him, it would be Shuck, Milrow, Dart, but you'll get no arguments from me on Milrow.
Who do you guys like? Milrow, Dart, Shuff?
Here's the thing that I wonder about Mike McDonald having been with Lamar Jackson for all those years. And if you remember, when Lamar Jackson came in and was developing, he was sitting behind a pocket passer, one Cleveland Brown legend, Joe Flacco.
Mhm.
And yeah, you like that one, didn't you?
So
Years
Peter,
ago.
do you think it's quarterback, or do you think that you would go Porter here? So Peter Quinn is suggesting Darian Porter. How high do you guys have Porter?
I like Porter a lot. He's
Mm.
just an
He's
older
a
guy.
Yeah, he's a little bit lower for me. He's below Amos and Hairston. I like a couple guys other better, Kobe Bryant, Quincy Riley, even Ben Morrison, who's my cornerback 3 and my 13th overall prospect still here. 16th
So
overall prospect.
Would we do one of the quarterbacks, or would we do Morrison?
Well, you got to take a look at who's coming up. So you have Tampa Bay, which they went, I believe, Jalen Walker.
Right. So Buffalo's
Green
sitting
Bay.
here, and they need a corner. Chargers need a corner.
Mm-hmm.
The Packers already took one. The Buccaneers would. So there could be a potential run on corners.
Corners, yeah.
Yeah. I would say Ben Morrison would be my vote here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. Tampa Bay in round 1.
We gave them what start?
Barron. So they had Barron. So the edges and Trey Harris are who are sitting at the top of their board right now.
Mm.
I'd go Princely. Oop, go ahead, Jim.
No, go for it. You like Princely?
Yeah, I would go Uman Mielen here. I think they could take Uman Mielen in round 1. So for them to get him here at pick 53, I think is excellent value.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You don't want to know how far down I have Princely on it.
Hmm.
Okay. Green Bay. Is Jaden Higgins still on the board?
Yeah.
He is. So I know that Brian thinks that Higgins is the best wide receiver for Green Bay, and he's here. Any objection?
No.
No.
Okay.
Not for Green Bay with their weird setup at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're all second round picks.
So the
Yeah.
Chargers in round 1 went Colston Loveland. What do we think that Harbaugh needs?
Some wide receivers.
A big body wide receiver to go opposite Lad McConkey. Jaden Higgins would have been the perfect guy, but with him gone,
Ooh, Jack Bash.
I'm gonna second Jack Besh.
Yeah, I'll
is-
third it.
Okay.
Yeah, is Jack Bash not a Harbaugh guy? Like, that's a Harbaugh guy.
He is. He's 6'1", but he plays like he's 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
He
So
will he'll just outwork you. Like that's my thing about watch Jack Bass. He's just going to outwork you.
Yep.
Mike Williams just returned to the Chargers. That's
Yeah, on a 1-year deal. I don't think that would stop them from going Besh.
Yeah.
that's just not a thing I saw coming.
So Buffalo needs a corner. I'm going to go against the board here. Cal was the most scouted school for Buffalo. I'm going Noel Williams at pick 56.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Panthers are on the clock at 57. They took Shamar Stewart. Ooh, and I made an error on the Williams pick. I need you guys to tell me who Carolina's going to take, because there's a possible player that Buffalo would want to take, but I'll let you guys decide who Carolina's pick.
Mm-hmm.
it's tough because Carolina has a lot of needs defensively. Obviously, you could use another edge. You could double dip and not blink. Defensive tackle next to Derek Brown. Obviously you can use even some on the back end as well. I just keep coming back to who's going to catch passes from Bryce Young outside of Xavier Legette. And if I'm looking at the board, Fannon's there, Arroyo, but I also want like a shifty slot guy. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Xavier Restrepo is still here.
Yep.
And that
like
would be
that.
my vote.
Any objection to Restrepo?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Fantastic. My guy dropped. The Texans at 58. They took Ursary in round 1. They could still use offensive line, but there's some other, like TJ Sanders is still here. We're at the end of round 2.
Hey. His name is Bullrush McIntyre.
Ah.
I would throw my hat at right tackle for the Texans. I know they went left tackle, but it's getting to a point where CJ Stroud was one of the most sacked quarterbacks last season, and then they got rid of everybody. So I guess they think that fixes it. Realistically, yeah.
He's in the database twice. Good to know.
I would say, and I would rank them this way. I would say Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College, Wyatt Milam from West Virginia, and then Cam Williams from Texas. One of those three.
Wyatt Milam, I have him as tackle 5.
Yeah, I like Wyatt.
He's a mean son of a bitch, is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nasty. Like that dude wants to put you on the ground.
Right.
You guys like Milam?
I like Milam here.
Yeah.
Okay. Ravens. They went Booker in round 1. I am thinking either trenches on defense or wide receiver.
I don't think they go wide receiver. I think they rely that DeAndre Hopkins still has something left in the tank, and I think it would be a day 3 pick. I would throw out that they try to add another pass rusher, either a Landon Jackson or a Donovan Ezeraku.
Yeah, and I would have a hard time taking Makuva over Araku. He's Araku.
Yeah, I'd say Ezeraku.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Here it is, baby, Jack Sawyer.
Yeah.
And he's sitting right at the top. It's
Yeah,
like
look at me.
a Lions fan, Jacob. I love it. Commanders. Round 1, they took Jalen Walker.
Well, that's such a good pick for them. I love that pick for them so much.
And Darian Porter is sitting right at the top of their draft card.
Oh yeah. I hate it.
Oh.
I always stand by this. I did some mock drafts last year, and every time I'd like come to the Bengals or something, and I'd be like, well, I know that's a good pick. Just if I was disgusted, I knew I had made the right pick.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So we like Porter to the Commanders
Yeah, I think that's
at the back of
Yeah.
round 2.
Yeah, I'm fine with that one.
So this one for Buffalo. So Buffalo at this point has gone corner. We did Derek Harmon, and I'm going with one of our combine visits. I'm going with Chris Paul at linebacker, which is really weird considering that Buffalo is returning its 2 starting linebackers, but he's the only linebacker they've met with. which is like suspicious.
They call him Pooh.
Like, oh, go for it. What were you going to say?
They call him Pooh.
Pooh Paul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pooh Paul.
Okay, so the Chiefs in round 1, Trey Amos.
This almost feels like Harold Fannin, doesn't it? With Kelsey at 35 years old.
Oh God, I hate
Would
that.
you do Arroyo or Fannin? I realize that you like Fannin, but what is a Chiefs tight end? Like, what kind of tight ends do they like?
I would say Fannin.
You like Fannin?
Yeah, because
And I think
their backup is a similar body type to Fannin. I forget what his name is.
Is that Watson? Is his name? What is his
no,
name?
it's not Watson. I think it's Gray. I think it's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Gray. It's Gray.
Mhm.
yeah.
So we're going Harold Fannin to the Chiefs.
Yep.
Yeah, as much as we don't want to, I think it has to be him here.
Okay, and EJ, talk us through what you're thinking.
So this is why I said Harold Fannin for the Chiefs, because I wanted Elijah Arroyo for the Eagles. And so Dallas Goedert is on the trade block. He's making $14 million a year. He's on his is on the final year of his contract. His backup is Grant Calcaterra, who's a good receiver. Can't block to save his life. Also on the last year of his contract. Elijah Arroyo could be the next up at tight end.
I like it.
The only reason I like it, the only pushback you'll get from me is I'm just concerned about his medical history. It scares the living daylights out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this is about where I would feel comfortable taking him. He's my tight end 6 on my big board.
Yeah, I think
So I have.
And I already took him. I'm checking one thing because
I also have him at 6, Bill. Interestingly enough.
Right. He's 78th overall on my big board, so it's a little early for him. But again, we go back to what we talked about earlier. This is the Baskin Robbins part of the draft where it's whatever that team's going to want.
Do you know what my dumbass did the other day? This is the day in the life of how stupid Jacob can be. I published my updated positional rankings. I boosted them up to top 20s, right? I published that like last Saturday. It was on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody sends me a text and they're like, why do you hate Terrence Ferguson? Why is he at 13? I'm like, he's at 13? What the hell? I had copied and pasted the wrong name and put him at 13 instead of 5. I was really upset about that. I'm just glad somebody said something to me. I'm like, what Terrence Ferguson at 13? He was at 13 before I really got into his tape and before the combine. And I was like, oh God.
so guys, we just went through 64 picks in 75 minutes. So I want everybody to take your hand, pat yourself on the back. And for everybody watching, so for Peter, for Sam, for Brandon, we are going to continue rounds 3 and 4 of this mock on Sunday night. So we're just going to keep going. And the idea is let's start talking about some of the day 3 players kind of thing. That's kind of what we're driving at here. So you should see this sequence repeat every week. We'll do a 2-round mock at some point during the week, and then on Sundays, we're going to do rounds 3 and 4 of the same mock. And if different people do the mock, teams should have different players. So hopefully it gives us maybe slightly different flavors. But also, we should take a minute. EJ, do you want to introduce yourself in case Peter or Sam or any of the people that haven't seen you podcast before know who you are?
What's up, guys? I'm EJ. You can follow me on Twitter. You see it right there at the bottom left-hand corner. Pretty much I do scouting for Rogue APC, do a draft guide for them. Look out for that coming in the next coming weeks. I do breakdowns on Twitter, pretty much just film breakdowns. Pretty much I'm giving you no hot takes. I'm not giving you any type of clickbait or anything like that. I'm just analysis, just football analysis. I'm big on scheme. I like pretty much my whole thing is if you don't know what the guy's job is, how can you evaluate how he does his job? But pretty much, yeah, just raw football analysis and draft takes.
Cool. Jacob.
There's that bet. I was just saw the Mike Williams thing because, like, I'm like that guy that even at 9:49 on day 3 of free agency is just constantly like, did anything happen? Like, it's just what I'm doing. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Roachism13. I don't really like right this time of year. I get a little bit more mouthy on Twitter, and I like to say stupid stuff, but it's mostly gifs of me being depressed Vegeta in the rain because we traded for Kenny Pickett. That was a thing that happened. Never in a million years. But yeah, no, you can find the written work over at theobr.com. It's Browns based, but I do, my big board, my top 100 comes out this next week. So that's I'll be writing it on Friday, so it'll come out Saturday or sometime next week. So you can check us out there.
Cool. Bill.
Absolutely. So you can find a lot of my content out on the social medias at Spark Scouting. I'm on X. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Threads. You can also find a lot of my work over at twsn.net. That's the Right Way Sports Network. I write NFL and NFL draft-based content, but a majority of it's going to be over on X at Spark Scouting. So don't be afraid. Come interact and come tell me how wrong I am because I welcome it.
Because I tell him that every day.
Hey. You calm down there, or Russell Wilson's going to sign. He's not going to get on the plane to New York.
Stop it. You stop
you can't let Russell Wilson get on the plane without a contract. Buffalo
No.
did that with Mario Williams once. We locked him in. We wouldn't let him leave until he signed the contract. We just said
we did that with Hugh Jackson once.
Yeah. You know what our quarterback room in Cleveland's going to be, right? It's going to be Russ, Pickett, and Shadur Sanders, and you're going to like it.
I'm going to hate all of that.
Mhm.
I'm going to hate every second of it.
Well, EJ and I are very happy with the quarterbacks that we have.
Yes, we are.
Yes. So you can follow the channel at NFL Draft Fanatic. No, I am Fanatic. It is the same on X and YouTube. We have a lot of content on YouTube. The best thanks you can give is to subscribe to the YouTube station. That's the best thank you that you can give. So you'll see a little bit of draft content on the NFL Draft Fanatic Twitter. That's generally used to broadcast the podcast. We have podcasts every day. So today was a 2-round mock. Today, Wednesday?
Mhm.
Yeah. So tomorrow we're doing a free agency show. So we're just going to Newt and I are going to summarize what's going on with free agency. Friday, we have a 32-team mock with Will and Gabe on the podcast. And Will's a treat. So you're going to hear some opinions that might not be as, let's say, as standard as you may have heard from other pundits in the media. So that's all coming your way. Another podcast Saturday morning. And then rounds 3 and 4 of this mock on Sunday with Randall and Greg. So for everybody at the Draft Professor, thank you for watching. And we will see you on a podcast again tomorrow. We're going to sign off, everybody. Have a good day.
Peace.
Yeah.